This is Reporting Live with Stan Grant.
The Prime Minister has come under fire from some of his strongest Indigenous supporters for suggesting taxpayers should not endlessly fund the lifestyle choices of those in remote communities. Even the West Australian Premier, whose policy sparked the comments, says Tony Abbott used an unfortunate choice of words, but the PM is standing by the comments, insisting they should be viewed in totality, along with his record on Indigenous issues.
The Prime Minister is responding to the WA government's decision to cut funding to almost 150 remote Indigenous communities.
It's not the job of the taxpayer to subsidise lifestyle choices.
That comment hasn't gone down well with some of the Prime Minister's strongest Indigenous supporters.
It's about their culture, it's about their religious beliefs, it's about their ancestry of thousands of years. They're living in these communities not like some school teacher who's retired and decided to have a seat change. They're living there because this is their country. This has been their country. This is where they got their ties. It's the essence of who they are.
We support people as the Country Liberals government who want to live in their specific parts of the Northern Territory, and we should support that for this nation.
Senior Indigenous leaders say the comments were ill-advised.
Oh, look, I think they're pretty unhelpful at this point. My contention is they can't exercise the lifestyle choice at the moment because, you know, we're the most poorest, disadvantaged people in this country.
And it's also raised questions about land rights.
The native title amendments that took place are forcing people to have a continuous connection with their country. And here we are talking about a public policy which in fact takes people out of their country.
Bill Shorten has slammed the Prime Minister as out of touch.
Yes, I think the Prime Minister should apologise. Tony Abbott is a Prime Minister stuck in the 1950s. He says he's the Prime Minister for Indigenous Australians, but he just wants to move them off their land.
Indigenous leaders have also expressed surprise that a Prime Minister who spends a week of each year in remote Indigenous communities and says he cares deeply about the plight of First Australians can fail to signify the connection of culture to country. But he's not backing down.
It was a lively discussion, and I'd invite people to listen to the discussion in its totality, to look at my record in its totality. I'm very comfortable with my credentials when it comes to doing the right thing by the Aboriginal people of Australia.
Don't be hard on him about it, because it is the life that people are having that we are trying to deal with, and what they choose to have as well.
I think what the Prime Minister is saying is there comes a point where the taxpayer has to say how much money can be spent in this community when there is no economic future.
As is often the case with the Prime Minister, you know, whenever he opens his mouth, his critics leap on him, you know, like a sort of a pack of forwards onto a bit of loose ball.
His supporters also point out, at least the country's talking about the issue where silence stood before.
I welcome this debate, because if as a result of this, the Prime Minister, Indigenous leaders and other members, senior members of the community sit down and actually come to a bit more of a landing on this, that will be a really good outcome of this whole debate. This is not an all or nothing affair.
Dan Borscher, Sky News, Darwin.